Welcome everybody. It's going to be a fun evening. We have a really wonderful guest tonight. He's one of the Bay Area local, and we have a legal expert too. होइन त जयजी?
हजुर हजुर अनि सपनाजी तपाईको दिन आज जस्तो ब्युटिफुल डे थियो बे एरियामा कस्तो रह्यो तपाईको दिन आज?
It was fun. बाहिर वाक गयौँ है, त्यसपछि के गर्यो, I mean आज भोलि चाहिँ नि कस्तो सबै कुरा ब्लेन्ड इन भए जस्तो छ कि, अनि कति बजे उठ्यो कति बजे सुत्यो, त्यो एउटै त्यो बिग लम्प अफ टाइम जस्तो हुन्छ कि, म कहिले पनि केही कुरा ट्र्याक राख्नै छोडिसकेँ, स्पेशली ओभर द विकेन्ड्स।
एब्सोल्युटली। सो ल अब हामी चाहिँ प्रोग्राम सुरु गरौँ। आजको हाम्रो पार्टनरहरूको बारेमा भन्नुहुन्छ कि हाम्रो स्पोन्सर्सहरूको बारेमा?
अफ कोर्स स्पोन्सर्स त हाम्रो सबैभन्दा ठुलो दायित्व नै हो नि, उहाँहरूलाई अनाउन्स गर्नै पर्छ होइन। हाम्रो दुईटा स्पोन्सर्स हुनुहुन्छ, एउटा चाहिँ जेन ट्राभल्स, अनि उहाँहरूको पहिला म फोन नम्बर भनौँ, 202-552-1508, अनि काठमाडौँ कुजिनको चाहिँ 408-649-3616। यहाँहरूले काठमाडौँ कुजिन ट्राई गर्नुभएको छैन भने this is the right time to try it.
Absolutely. So अहिले त ट्राभलको लागि खुसी कुरा के छ भने अहिले नेपाली पासपोर्ट होल्डरहरूले एयरपोर्टमा पनि पाउन लागेको छ। So you got to have that 72 hours PCR test. You can get the visa at the airport. So that's a very good news.
Indeed.
बे एरियामा यदि तपाईँ आउनुहुन्छ र यहाँ मिठो नेपाली मोमो नेपाली खाना चाहनुहुन्छ भने काठमाडौँ कुजिनलाई सम्झिनुहोस्। उहाँहरूको रेस्टुरेन्ट मिलपिटासमा छ। उहाँ डाइरेक्टली फोन गरेर पनि तपाईहरुले अर्डर गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ, पिकअप गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ। उहाँहरूको डिफरेन्ट इन्डियन नेप्लिज फुडहरू छ। उहाँको वेबसाइट छ kathmanducuisine.com। सो अगेन अब हामी सुरुवात गर्दैछौँ आजको प्रोग्राम भजन अफ द विकबाट, र आजको भजन स्पोन्सर गर्नुभएको छ जेन ट्राभल्स एन्ड काठमाडौँ कुजिन। बम बम जय शिव शंकर नीलकंठ शिव शंकर, बम बम जय शिव शंकर नीलकंठ शिव शंकर, भोलेनाथ जगन्नाथ पशुपतिनाथ भोले रक्षा करना, भोले रक्षा करना, भोले रक्षा करना, भोले रक्षा करना। पशुपतिनाथले सबैको रक्षा गरून्, सबैको कल्याण गरून्। यही भन्दै आजको हाम्रो प्रोग्राम सुरु गर्दैछौँ। तपाईहरु सुन्दै हुनुहुन्छ रेडियो नेपाली युएसए। यदि ड्राइभ गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ तपाईहरु ट्युन गर्नुस् एएम मा 1310 एएम मा तपाईले सुन्न सक्नुहुन्छ। यदि तपाईहरु आउट अफ बेरिया हुनुहुन्छ भने 605-472-9355 मा सुन्न सक्नुहुन्छ। त्यसैगरी यदि वेबसाइटमा सुन्न चाहनुहुन्छ भने radiomirchi1310.com मा त्यो हाल्ने बित्तिकै तपाईको त्यहाँ आउँछ, प्ले गर्नुस् अनि यु क्यान लिसन दिस रेडियो नेपाली युएसए एभ्री स्याटरडे 7 PM to 9 PM एनीवेयर इन द युएसए। र त्यस्तै यदि युएस भन्दा बाहिर हुनुहुन्छ भने यो वेबसाइट र एप एन्ड्रोइड र आइओएस एप रेडियो मिर्ची 1310 डाउनलोड गरेर पनि सुन्न सक्नुहुन्छ। त्यसैले हाम्रो श्रोताहरू सपनाजी यो बे एरिया मात्र हैन कि अहिले विश्वभरि नै अहिले छरिरहेको छ र उहाँहरूको कमेन्ट आइरहेको छ। अब आजको हाम्रो गेस्टलाई अब निम्त्याउने बेला भएको छ। Would you introduce our guest today?
Absolutely, I would love to. It would be my honor. So I'm not going to tell who he is yet. Let me tell everybody that he has a very wide range of expertise, and he's well known to Nepali community as well as the local US community. So उहाँ चाहिँ एक्टिभली आफ्नो नेपाली कम्युनिटीमा पनि, त्यसपछि ट्रेसीको आफ्नो अडप्टेड कम्युनिटीमा पनि त्यतिकै पपुलर हुनुहुन्छ है। अनि उहाँ चाहिँ फर्मर प्रेसिडेन्ट हुनुहुन्छ एसोसिएसन अफ नेप्लिज इन अमेरिका ANA को पनि। म फ्यु क्लुजहरू दिँदै जान्छु, हेरौँ है तपाईँ गेस गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ कि गेस गर्न सक्नुहुन्न। अनि possibly उहाँ पहिलो नेपाली हुनुहुन्छ होला जो चाहिँ सिटी काउन्सिल मेम्बरमा रन गर्नुभएको एज अ नेपाली अमेरिकन। अनि त्यसपछि उहाँले थुप्रै थुप्रै नै आर्टिकलहरू अमेरिकन न्युज पेपर एज वेल एज नेपाली न्युज पेपरमा पनि लेख्नु भएको छ होइन। अनि धेरै धेरै प्रोग्राममा पेनलिस्ट मोडरेटर भएर पनि काम गर्नुभएको छ। अनि उहाँको आर्टिकल त्यसपछि अनलाइन प्रेजेन्स पनि एकदमै धेरै छ है। अनि उहाँले मास र्यालिजहरूमा पनि पहिलादेखि नै एकदमै धेरै पार्टिसिपेट गर्दै आउनुभएको छ। 1990मा पनि अनि 2006मा पनि सेन फ्रान्सिस्कोमा र्याली अर्गनाइज गर्नुभएको छ होइन। अनि त्यसपछि वासिङटन डिसीमा पनि उहाँले 2015मा इन्डियन ब्लकेजको अगेन्स्टमा पनि र्याली गर्नुभएको छ, अर्गनाइज गर्नुभएको थियो। त्यसपछि रिसेन्टली पनि 2019 डिसेम्बरमा पनि अर्को र्याली उहाँले अर्गनाइज गर्नुभएको थियो। त्यो चाहिँ इन्डियन इन्क्रोचमेन्टको लागि थियो होइन। हामी सबै श्रोताहरूलाई थाहा नै छ नि त्यो लिपुलेक लिम्पियाधुराको इस्यु है। अनि त्यसपछि उहाँ कमर्सियल पाइलट पनि लाइसेन्स होल्डर पनि हुनुहुन्छ। अनि उहाँको एरोनोटिक्स इन्जिनियरिङमा ब्याचलर छ। त्यसपछि उहाँले पछि MBA गर्नुभयो फाइनेन्स मेजर गरेर है। अनि अहिले चाहिँ म्यानेजमेन्ट कन्सल्टेन्ट हुनुहुन्छ। So I hope everybody knows by now who I am referring to. Please welcome Mr. Roger Adhikari.
Roger Dai, you are in the air. We welcome you. So we know you. You are the local chief parchit hamro daju hununcha, especially I know you for a long time. So thank you for allocating the time and coming in the Radio Nepal USA. You are in the air. You're welcome, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. Sabaijanalai namaste. Sapna, thank you so much. Jay, thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure. Right now, I'm not in the Bay Area. I'm actually temporarily staying in Colorado with my family. Some of you probably know I have a very extended family in Colorado. All my siblings, six of, including myself, 7 of us, and their family, and my mother. Everybody live in Colorado, so I'm here right now. I'm not sure temporarily, but anyway, for now I'm here.
Awesome.
So, thank you.
So our program today's segment is what is your story. So basically यो उसमा हामी क्रमशः तपाईको shortमा what is your story in US? How did you came here? How did you get education? What are the struggles you face? So could you highlight in a brief so that our audience listener will know? Maybe they are new here. Maybe तपाईको गाउँको मान्छे होला, तपाईले पढेको स्कुलको साथी होला, त्यसको बारेमा अलिकति कनेक्सन हुन्छ। त्यसले गर्दा तपाईको ब्याकग्राउन्डमा अलि बताइदिनुहुन्छ कि अझै नेपालको ब्याकग्राउन्डमा?
Sure. If you don't mind, I will speak in English if that's sure. Not a problem. Okay. So I have been living here for 40 years. I came here in early 1981, and my whole purpose of coming here was to be a pilot. I used to work in Nepal Airlines, and I was motivated by many of my senior colleagues, and then I thought maybe I should be a pilot, and I came here. $500 in my pocket, and pretty much did not know a lot of people here. And just to make more clear, there were not really a lot of people here at that time from Nepal, right? So I'm talking about back in 1981 when I came, the total population of New York was maybe about 55 to 60 people, not family, 60 people when you count in a finger. And I probably pretty much knew everyone back then. Some of them have passed away, and some of them have moved away from New York, but I do know who they are. And so it was back in those days, and I came here. And as you probably know, you being an immigrant yourself, the typical immigrant story is, and especially in my case, because a lot of you came here with the education background. I came here with a high school education, so I had to do everything here. I became a pilot. Then I did my bachelor's, as you said, Sapna said, my aeronautical engineering technology. I did my bachelor's, and then got a job with United Airlines. Before that, I flew a couple of years in New York as a pilot, as a commercial pilot. And then I came here. I also had my flight instructor's license. So when I came meaning, like I moved to Bay Area in 1989 from New York. And I had a flight school. So I opened up a flight school while I was working as an engineer for United Airlines. So my job was, I was working up until 2 o'clock in the afternoon for United, and after 2 o'clock until 8 o'clock, almost 6 hours, I would be in my flight school, teaching ground class, private, commercial, and then flying, So I was kind of doing that. And then it went on until about 1994 or 94, yeah, 94. And I realized I wasn't able to do what I really wanted to do, making a big flight school. And so I changed my path, and I essentially left, flying business, and enrolled myself in a program, my MBA. And so I did my MBA in finance, and then moved within the airline into finance. And so that's kind of how my, path, from, coming here to be a pilot, to like going to, graduate school to get my MBA degree, and then, moving from there to the finance. And then at one point in 2000, around 2099 or 2000, I left United, went to work for Silicon Valley. And ever since I've been working. I did some, full-time job in a senior, finance management position, and then I started doing consulting. And I did I worked for several companies, and notably Hewlett Packard, HP, Cisco, JDS, Uniphase, and then, to name a few, So I did consulting for those companies. I think I have last time I counted about 39 countries.
So look, Roger has gone to 39. कति छ? मैले त त्यस्तो छैन होला, मेरो 8-9-10 वटा। तपाईँ कति छ सपनाजी?
ओहो, मेरो त त्यति पनि छैन, मेरो त्यस्तो डाइभर्स पोर्टफोलियो छैन ट्राभलमा चाहिँ. Probably 3 or 4.
So we have such a guest today. He's a multi-dimensional, expert. अब उहाँले यहाँ नगरेको काम मलाई जस्तो यो छैन जस्तो लाग्छ, हैन? So, but आजको हाम्रो focus छ कि Nepali diaspora. So, Roger, you have been here long time. You have been involved in the local politics. So, maybe many people will know about this American politics system, but I think there are many people they don't know, including me. I have been here 22 years, but still being engineer, very active in the non-profit or professional life. Still, I do not know many things about the US government, how it operates. So sure. Today, I mean, you have expertise in so many things, but we are going to talk today about like Nepali diaspora political, situation in the US, especially. Sure. And some of the question, maybe some of the listeners probably already know, but we want to just, could you, we have so many questions we have got from our listeners. So we will, I will ask some few questions. Sapnaji will ask some few questions, and let's try to answer those so we can ask you more questions. How about that?
That sounds good. Yeah, absolutely.
So Sapnaji, के question बोकेर आउनु भएको छ? कति बोरा question छ तपाईकोमा?
टन्नै छ बोरा. मलाई चाहिँ के लाग्छ भने हामी नेपाली कम्युनिटी युएसमा आइसकेपछि चाहिँ जस्तो जुनै पनि मुभमेन्टहरु यहाँ अमेरिकन नेटिभ मुभमेन्टहरु छन्, जस्तो भनौं ब्ल्याक लाइफ म्याटर भन, त्यसपछि अरु कति थुप्रै छन् हैन. जुनै पनि मुभमेन्टहरु चाहिँ मलाई कस्तो लाग्छ भने हाम्रो कम्युनिटीको मान्छेहरुलाई चाहिँ it looks alien to them. Everybody thinks that's not part of me, that's somebody else. So, but that being said, I think that is a misconception. We should think that it's our issue as well. We are part of it in some way or the other, because those are the movement that kind of comes back to every single community that's within the US. So के भन्नुहुन्छ दाइले अब यति धेरै देखिसक्नु भएको छ हैन. How can our community be aware, alert? How can we help to be part of not being directly part of it, but what are the ways we can help to make the community better, or what are the things that we should be aware of when we hear about all these movements that's going around?
Sure. And that's a very pertinent question, and I thank you for this, because here's the thing. Like you said, many Nepalese people do not understand the sacrifices that have been made in the past by other people. We are reaping the benefit of that today, right? For example, I'm going to give you a very simple, historical, example. There was a law called Jim Crow from 1877 until 1954. And what that pertained, that law, basically the people were divided in two, like a camp. They were white and they were blacks. And of course, most of the people, they were like beside Native Americans, most majority minority were, like a blacks. But the law prohibited, it created two classes of people. So it segregated, whether you are going to park, you are taking public transportation, you are in a bus, in a school, you could not, blacks could not, sit along with the, white people. So the society was segregated almost, like almost what, 85 years, right? You're looking at more than 85 years, actually, like almost 87, 88 years. So and then you have a civil rights movement where people under the leadership of Martin Luther King, they fought and they brought about changes. And that changes also help us, to not only to, reap the benefit that we are reaping today, but also allow us to migrate. A lot of people don't know this thing, when a lot of Chinese were brought into US as a railway, like a worker, Indians, the Punjabis also, heard about it, right? So they were like looking for labor. And so they also wanted to be part of it, part of this, like the labor force. And many of them came in a ship. So they were not able to come directly. So what happened, they came to Mexico, some of them, and some of them came here. But you know what? Because they look different, and it was the time of the Jim Crow. It was like a late 1800, early 1900, like until like 1920 and 30. They were returned, either they were returned back, from the border, or some of them who had already crossed the border, they basically, like sent back to Mexico, sent to Mexico. They didn't even come from Mexico, but they were sent to Mexico because they look differently. And so a lot of people do not understand, and a lot of Nepalese, and this is kind of saddest thing for me, during this election cycle, a lot of these people were supporting, like, Trump. And the fact that people like Trump, those who are in power, those who are like a segregationist, those who are like a white racist people, they didn't allow people of, like a color to migrate to this country. So had not been the struggle of the Black, community, the Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement, many of us, like years later wouldn't have come to this country. And so we must be thankful and appreciative of that. And not only that, if you look at it, the rights that they brought in, like all the civil rights they brought in, also, the law, segregation law that went away because of their struggle, and the benefit that we are reaping today is all because of the sacrifice they made. So we must be thankful for their struggle, for them, for the sacrifices that they made, and this is unfortunately, immigrant, many of us, we have come to this country, and we do not study history. We do not understand, the process of changes that took place that brought us to the point that we are in today, and one of the things that I would say, it is very easy. If those of you who are living here, please go and do some Google search and see what happened, how we brought to the point where we are today. And you will have a more newfound appreciation, for the struggle of the people that did, before us, and they were mostly Black people.
So, okay, this leads me to another question, Roger, right?
Sure.
As you see right now, the immigration is shifting. There are a lot of South Asian migrating to US for the tech job, other stuff. And right now, if you see in the top 10, there are many Asian countries immigration-wise. So now this other, Asian, South Asian immigration people here becoming American citizen, and the demographic is little slightly changing. If any of in the 17th district here, I mean, this kind of being like a melting pot. So So now this movement of who is going to lead in the future? Is brown people, Asian people, black, or how is going to be? What do you see the future in 10, 20 years, American political landscape?
So here's my take on this. Okay, and there's a two simultaneous process happening in this country right now. In one hand, you have a lot influx of immigrant, and when I say immigrant, I'm speaking of those coming from Asia, mostly, right? Whether it's a Southeast Asia or East Asia, a lot of them are coming in. The immigrants have been coming in this country for a long time, but most of them were European, right? And so now what is happening is that people from other part of the world, also coming in. Actually, they have been coming in for a while, but they are like coming in and getting mixed. But as they say, United States of America is not really, is a melting pot. It's a salad bowl. So you have everybody coming in, but each one of us is bringing our own character, our own value. And so we are living together. We have some shared value. At the same time, we are adding, like a new dimension to the value, And so what that means is that is helping enrich, the society, helping enrich the economy, because as the more diverse view and diverse in intelligence, and then background people coming in and joining in, they're bringing a more new ideas, and the more new ideas meaning like you adding more value to the country, and so it's coming in. And so like the immigrants, we have always played a key role, like from the point of the creation of this country, meaning like when I say creation, I do not mean like the immigrant created the country, but the point of the adding the value, the influx of the European migration, and then in each generation you have a new group of people that came in and added a new dimension. And this is kind of how this country has gone, from the point on to 1492, when, like Columbus, first, came in, landed, here, from the point where we are today.
So you are saying that, like, let me again another follow-up question. So right now, I see the first time in the history we have now, African, Indian American, Kamala Harris, Vice President. We have the ceiling, and you see we have several, like other American origin people of the Asian, and they're running for the politics. So where do you see the Nepali diaspora? Now the population is growing, and you can see here their mayor, there is an assembly member. So how the Nepali diaspora, maybe going to involve more, or what is there for the Nepali diaspora? Why we have to also get involved, even if our number are less? But if you see some of the other countries like Israel, other places, their number are also not that much, but they're very, very efficient and they're very vocal. So what do you think? What do you say about the Nepal diaspora, Eddie? If tomorrow we need to build our own image, or we work together with the other communities, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, like every community, right? In the United States, is called, a salad bowl. We basically, like have this classic salad bowl situation where each immigrant group add their own flavor. Okay, and so the Nepalese community, also, we are also adding our own flavor to it, and as we become part of the mainstream, right, and we start like getting to the same level of other immigrants have contributed to the development, and then in the process we also get an equal share, and I think that's where we are at right this point.
Sapnaji, what is you have any question from the audience?
You know, मलाई चाहिँ रजर दाइले एकदम पोलिटिक्समा नजिकैबाट सबै कुरा देख्नु भयो भएर मलाई कतिवटा टर्म्सहरू छ कि हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटीमा मान्छेलाई थाहा नै छैन होला जस्तो फिलबस्टर भन्छ होइन त्यस्तोको मिनिङ के होला त यो के भन्छ कुनै पनि अब नेपाली मान्छेलाई आफ्नो सिटीको लागि रन गर्नु छ भने के कुराहरू थाहा हुनुपर्छ त्यस्तो बेसिक अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ पनि छ जस्तो लाग्दैन क्या हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटीलाई इफ यु कुड shed some light on that would be wonderful.
So the question, what is your question in this?
I have two layers. One is, what is filibuster? That is something that I think there are a lot of people who don't understand. And then the second layer is, what are the things that people need to know if they want to run for a city? Any kind of if they want to make an impact in their city, what are the things they need to know before being a city council member or being part of the city, not just volunteering in different level, but like being actually actively involved in the city planning and things like that.
Yeah, sometimes you mean to say that how Nepali diaspora can start in public service. That's a city level, county level, Congress level. That's our question.
Yeah.
Thank you for reframing it.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say. Like every politics, you start locally, right? And so, you just like like in every other society, you run in the city council, or you kind of participate in some of the program or like advisory board. For example, when I first started, in the city of Tracy in California, I was selected in advisory board, in a city council advisory board, and so these are the steps the people take to get into politics. You get into advisory board, or you engage in some community services where people kind of notice you, right? And then from there, then you start like building your relationship, and then you start running for office depending on how you feel it. You can start from like what do you call it, the education district, school board, and then or you can run for a council, and so it's a typical process of like getting into politics here, and that's kind of how typically you start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So another question Sapnaji was asking, what is right now I see sometimes in the Senate they do the filibuster. What is can you define? Can you explain that? What is that process? When that happens? Because I think a lot of our listener maybe don't know that. What is that in the government?
Say it again. I didn't get your question. Sorry.
Can you repeat your question? On the first key, what you said?
I just wanted to know, what is filibuster?
Okay. So filibuster. I'm blanking out right now. I was like thinking. So filibuster is a process of basically invoking. Filibuster is a process of invoking. I'm like a.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she mean to say that just say that in Senate sometimes there is it is your term. And you start speaking and you continuously speaking, you don't give other people.
It's a filibuster is a process where you invoke, the right to speak, and you continuously speak, keep going on until you are heard, by people. Basically it is a process of making you noticeable, to the legislatures, to other legislatures, so that they can notice you, and they'll hear you. And it's a process of doing that, and you can go on speaking hours and hours and hours. So that is the process that they use, for a filibuster.
Yeah, Sapnaji, so I want to add some couple of things. So
Absolutely.
Just in 2013, there was a state senator, Wendy Davis. She hold a 13-hour filibuster in the state of Texas. So what that means is, so just say you have a cause, you wanna make other people attention, right?
Yeah.
So you start speaking, and then you don't leave the podium. You speak, and there are other people they cannot, make you go away. So there is only you can drink water and milk, and even if you go to the bathroom, you have to have other partner continuing for that.
Yeah, the continued process. Yeah, it's basically the process is to make people hear your issue, and make and bring the awareness, like in the parliament and houses, and also in the country, to the people that, hey, this is way too important, and I'm not going to let the process go until people hear me out. And that is the process of the filibuster, basically.
All right, so
I see. Thank you.
yeah, so I have a next question on this one. Then we'll take a break. Then we'll ask another question.
Sure.
So you see, in American politics, lobbying is very, very, very active. Yeah. You see, 50% of the Congress people, who retires, they become the lobbyist. And so, what is the role of lobbying in American politics? And I see that a lot of people become lobbyists because there is a market cap of like almost market of $3 billion. There is a lot of institutions, company, non-profit, all these people lobby in the government. So can you shed a light about this lobbying, how this happen, who can do that, what are the process in your view?
Yeah, sure. There's the lobbying is like there's two different kind of lobbying, right? There are certified lobbyists, right? They are basically professional lobbyists. They are known, and the companies that actually employ them, and their job is to lobby on behalf of certain group, right? If suppose there is a Nepali community, and Nepali community has some interest in some legislative agenda, they hire some people, right? And similarly, you have a trade group have a lobbyist, and you have like a women group have a lobbyist. You can have a lobbyist, all different kind. Lobbyist simply meaning they basically influence the policy, right? So certain group of people, they basically lobby in the interest of their group, whether it's a woman, whether it's like a chamber of commerce, so that's what the lobbyists are. And these people are, some of them are, basically paid and certified, and some of them are indirect, and they just like a lobby, for their, community sake or things like that, so there's all different kind of lobbyists out there.
So if you see the President Obama's, he ran for the platform that he will ban the lobbyists, but he could not, because if you see the data, almost 50% of people who are in the government, they become lobbyists. And if you see the also organization called for-profit lobbyist, recently I had the data, like I checked, they spend like $470 million in lobbying, but that yielded the return of investment $11 billion. So it's kind of a lot of people are confused. They think that lobbying is it's not for profit.
Yeah, no, lobbying is done for some vested interest group. Like you said, they're like a lobbyist, who basically, lobby on behalf of chamber of commerce, meaning, business interest group. There are lobbyists who are like ethnic centered. So they have all different kind of lobbyists. Lobbying is like a multi-billion-dollar business. The people that are professional lobbyists, they do lobbying. All they do is the lobbying, right? So of course, and then there are like there are like professional lobbyists, there are business lobbyists, there are all different kind of lobbyists.
So you are saying that, say, for example, NRNA USA, if they have fund, they're gonna hire the lobbyist, or maybe some other group to do something for the Nepal or Nepal caucus or Nepalese diaspora benefit here. Yeah,
I mean, like Nepali diaspora was big enough and has had a lot of say economic interest. Mostly lobbying is done for the economic interest, right? Whether you are a chamber of commerce or in a certain community group, they lobby for the community benefit, but that's ultimately is economic benefit. So lobbying is primarily associated with the economic interest of the community. They're lobbying for.
So Sapnaji, हाम्रो एउटा दर्शकले गाना रिक्वेस्ट गर्नु भएको छ. अब let's take a break and then we'll continue the interview.
Okay, पनि एकैछिन ब्रेक लिउँ अनि गीत सुनौँ एकछिन अनि त्यसपछि फेरि कन्टिन्यू गरौँला नि.
Sure. कस्तो राम्रो गीत
है, कस्तो रमाइलो गीत रहेछ.
भनसाली तेरी दिदी कहाँ छ यो चाहिँ हाम्रो रिक्वेस्ट गर्नुभएको थियो राज यादवजीले यो बेरियाबाट राज यादवजी धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद र अरू कुनै श्रोताहरू यदि मन परेको गीत छ भने हामीलाई टेक्स्ट गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ त्यो नम्बर छ 40840837300603 र तपाईलाई कसैलाई डेडिकेट गर्न चाहनुहुन्छ कसैको बिहा छ वर्तमान छ you can call us र हामी उहाँको नाम लिएर तपाईको गीत डेडिकेट बताइदिन छौं अनि रोजा दाइ you have been in US for long time do you still listen Nepali songs यो त अनि नेपाली गीतहरु सुन्नुहुन्छ
of course अब
अनि तपाई त गीत पनि गाउनुहुन्छ के गुनगुनाउनु
Let's not do that गीत आज अघि of course I love music
हाम्रो प्रोग्राम चाहिँ इन्फोटेनमेन्ट हो हैन अब इन्फर्मेसन त छदैछ अलिकति इन्टरटेनमेन्ट पनि हुनु पर्यो भनेर सो एनी हाउ अब हाम्रो नेक्स्ट चरणको क्वेशनहरु अब म फटाफट सोध्छु केही क्वेशनहरु आएको छ अब मेन क्वेशन यहाँ के आएको छ भने यहाँ युएस मा अप्पर हाउस सेनेट र कांग्रेसले गर्ने कामहरुको डिफरेन्स के हो त हाम्रो अलिकति हाम्रो श्रोताहरुलाई बताइदिनुहुन्छ कि
Sure. Essentially के छ भने कुनै पनि any bill that initiates with the money that has anything to do with the money that initiates from the Congress lower house, okay, budget and etc, everything comes from from the lower house, I know. Anything non-monetary can be initiated from Senate, but both has to pass, right? That is the basically the difference there is. So the Congress initiates all the budgetary, all the money matter, and from the from the lower house, and the Senate does like an ambassadorial appointment, any kind of major like a secretary appointment or anything that happens that is initiated in the Senate.
भनेपछि तपाईले भन्न खोजेको चाहिँ सेनेट चाहिँ प्रेसिडेन्टको लागि चाहिँ एचआर डिपार्टमेन्ट हो र कांग्रेस भनेको अकाउन्टिङ डिपार्टमेन्ट हो पैसा रिलिज गर्ने
Yes, you can look at that way. Yes, you can put it that way. But of course both have to fight pass it, but initiation has to be done this way. Yeah.
अनि अर्को चाहिँ यो जुन इम्पिचमेन्ट छ जस्तै कि अहिले रिसेन्टली प्रेसिडेन्ट ट्रम्पको दुई चोटी पनि इम्पिचमेन्ट भयो त्यो चाहिँ खाली कांग्रेसबाट मात्रै सुरु हुन्छ कि सेनेटबाट पनि कसरी हुन्छ त्यसको प्रोसेस
हैन अब impeachment process चाहिँ के हो भने it is it's a joint oath, because if anybody has to be के रे भन्न अब प्रेसिडेन्टलाई चाहिँ इम्पिच गर्ने कुरा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने joint committee ले गर्छ, meaning both house has to find him or her guilty, so the process मा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने both house is engaged when it comes to impeaching.
Awesome. त्यस्तो किनभने तपाईको यता कांग्रेसबाट सुरु भएर फेरि सेनेटबाट पास भएर सेनेटमा 60 भोट ल्याउनु पर्छ 2/3 अरु के हुन्छ त्यसमा
impeachment yeah, depending on president impeachment 2/3 yeah, so yeah 60 vote actually.
हजुर अनि अर्कै क्वेशन चाहिँ यहाँ अहिले तपाई हुनुहुन्छ धेरै जस्तो जस्तो कि प्रेसिडेन्ट बाइडेनले पनि पहिला प्रेसिडेन्ट ट्रम्पले पनि र प्रेसिडेन्ट ओबामाले पनि दे इश्यू आउने बित्तिकै एक्जिक्युटिभ अर्डर्स EO अर्डर गर्छ. I was doing some research on this one. American history ma general president हरुले 300 वटा EO इश्यू गरेका थिए. Where अहिले तपाईको FDR को टाइममा he issued 3500 EOs. अब यो एक्जिक्युटिभ अर्डर भने के हो यो अनि यो ल हो कि कसै तपाई अलिकति हाम्रो श्रोताहरुलाई बताइदिनुहुन्छ कि
Executive orders like you can call it temporary law. Okay, you can call it temporary law. So what happens is the president can give executive order, but then it can be applicable for certain time period, but within that time period, and you have to pass in order for you to make a law, constitute like a law, then you have to pass by the both houses. So you can call it temporary. They also call in a budgetary term. They call it temporary stopgap. So it is like that. So you can use it, but then it has to be passed by the both houses in order for it to be law.
So this is very very interesting, Sapna ji. तपाईलाई थाहा छ कि छैन in January 1st 1863 then President Abraham Lincoln used the EO to free the slaves, and that's one of the very famous EO, that time. Then again, all the roads, and if you see construction all over the parks in the USA, that was also started by the EO.
Yeah.
And
Oh, wow.
recently, you see that like last 4 years, and you see right now a lot of executive orders are issued, and then it's challenged in the court, and some passes, some doesn't.
Yeah. So executive order president can give, but then you have to pass through the both houses at some point, within certain time. And if you don't pass it, then it will not. It's not going to be a law, right? So in order for it to be law, to be mandated, then it has to be passed by both houses.
Okay, so next question is यो धेरै नेपालीहरूलाई कन्फ्युज हुने क्वेसन हो रोजै. What is electoral college? How it plays a role in a US election?
Yeah.
Even if you can win the popular vote, but you cannot be the president. Can you explain the whole process?
Yeah, so electoral college is like it's a basically, they have assigned a number, based on like a population, size of the state population. So each state has depending on population, you have so many electoral college, and I'm blanking out, but I think New York has 35 or something.
Actually, I have a data. California has 55, Texas 38, Florida 29, New York 29.
29.
Yeah. So what they say that if you can control these 4-5 states, you have pretty much chances of winning. Yeah.
So you need to get I think total electoral college was 537. What is it?
It's actually the 435 plus 3 Washington DC 438.
Yeah, and so yeah. So basically the election.
And then plus 100. So 435 Congress, 435 plus 100 plus 3.
Yeah, so 538, 530. So somewhere around there, that number. And so you have to have all of those, in order to win the presidency, you have to have a, maximum,
Magic number 270, right? Magic number 270.
Electoral college, right. And so that wins the presidency. Basically, it's assignment of the number based on the population of the state. Yeah.
अब तपाईको विचारमा अहिले नेपालीहरूले अब यो नेपाली ककस भन्छ हैन, अहिले जस्तो कि इन्डिया ककस छ, पाकिस्तान ककस छ, नेपालीहरूले ककस बनाउने चान्सेस कतिको छ? What do you see? What is the challenges and what is the opportunity?
So here's the thing, how does caucus become influential, right? There is several ways a caucus becomes influential. Either you are a rich community, or you are, you have a big population, that makes you influential, in terms of, garnering or winning, helping win the vote. Okay. And so in that sense, the Nepali community, is definitely population wise, like not that big, we're not that, large in, population in the US. Especially compared to Indian community and other, diasporas, like a number is not there. And economically, and I think we fairly well, but the number is not there, for us to become, like significant in terms of changing, like say Jewish diaspora, or even Indian diasporas, because Indians have they have a huge population, and so, and also the economic power, those are the one, basically determines how powerful, how influential you become.
Right. So about antim so what is in the life of Roger Adhikari in next 10 to 15 years? Is there any political again goal, or you just what do you think, how your next few years going to play out for you?
Well, it's one of those things, politics. Politics is like it's a combination of several things. One is, basically, the desire to do the civic duty. That is one thing, right? And that's always there because I guess that's who I am, and I always have that inclination. Always, I guess you can say I was born with that. But then there's an opportunity, like politics is sometimes like if it, offers the right opportunity, and if I see that, and if I can sense that, then, there's definitely, I could, be part of it again. When you say politics, I'm guessing you are saying elected politics, right?
That's right. That's
right. And so yes, I mean, like we're in a politics in every day. Like we lobby, it's a politics. We write, it's a politics. But the participate in a politics is a matter of opportunity, and also a matter of seizing it. And so there was and so if I see something and I really feel strongly about, there's a chance that I may, re-enter, but right now I don't really have any, indication as to, when that's going to be.
Maybe a question, sir, Roger Daile. What would you say to 25 years back, old Roger Adhikari? What would you have done things 25? I mean, what would be the thing that you would have done differently back then, and that would give a different outcome? Or would you want to do that? Is there anything that you would recommend or want to tell 25-year younger Roger Adhikari?
It's a very difficult and a challenging, question, right? In terms of, what I would have done differently, so me, I am, in a situation where I am today, probably my mindset and everything is pretty much the same. But what makes me any different, today is the opportunity, right? Either I got the opportunity or I didn't get the opportunity, and that made me who I am today. And so there's some opportunity that I got, and maybe I was able to seize it or seize upon it, whether it was because I was wise enough or I had some wisdom, and then some, I was not able to seize upon it, maybe because I was not wise enough, in some areas. So of course, you with the time you learn. And so I too have learned, some things, and maybe some of the things I probably would differently, but then some things I won't change, because my core value, just like, we all have our core value, right? No matter what we do, we never change. And so in some things I wouldn't have done differently. For example, I would have probably, like, my, like I say, a career, path, I would have a charted, slightly differently, and then at the same time, my, other, and I would have strengthened, my weaknesses, much better, and so, those things, you learn, it goes with the time. We all do, right? I mean, in retrospect, I'm pretty sure you probably, think you wish you had done things differently, right?
So many times, yes.
Yeah. And I feel the same way. I also feel like,
I have the last question, and then we'll end this program. So what do you say to the second generation American, Nepalese Americans? I mean, like, we cannot be the president, but our kids who born
the younger generation, whoever is listening,
your kids and other several Nepalese kids. What is the message for the second generation? Because they are well educated, they have all the platform, they work hard, they make it happen. This is the land of opportunity. What do you say? What is your final message?
Here's what I'm saying. Here what I think, as I'm getting older, I realize the most important thing in life is to follow your passion, and when you follow your passion, it leads to, it usually leads to the place, where you should be, right? And so, like, whatever your passion is, if you want to get into politics, then you follow that passion, and what that means is essentially, is in a politics, there are certain things you need to understand, right? You need to understand your constituent. You need to understand what drives you, right? Does like a getting elected drives you, or it's a mission that you are driven by, like a mission, meaning like you want to change the community. You want to change things that really that really, like a strikes to your core, right? And so I think that's what I would do. Basically, I would identify what drives me, and I would work towards that.
Thank you very much, Rajadai, for coming.
Thank you, Rajadai.
We'll
Thank you so
look
much for
forward to talking
joining.
in the future. And
Thank you.
stay safe. Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. सपनाजी अब हाम्रो सेकेन्ड 1 घन्टा त्यसै गएछ। अब अर्को के अब हाम्रो अर्को गेस्ट आउँदै हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँलाई ल्याउँदै गरौँ यहाँ हाम्रो प्रोग्राममा। त्यसभन्दा पहिले हामी एउटा गीत बजाउँछौँ। तपाईँको अलिकति हाम्रो श्रोताहरूलाई रेडियो नेपाली कसरी सुन्न सकिन्छ एकचोटि भनिदिनुहुन्छ कि फेरि?
ए हुन्छ, हामीलाई चाहिँ हुन्छ फ्यु डिफ्रेन्ट वेजमा सुन्न सकिन्छ होइन। एउटा चाहिँ ब्राउजरबाट रेडियो मिर्ची 1310.com बाट सुन्न सक्नुहुन्छ। अनि त्यसपछि डायल इन गरेर सुन्न सक्नुहुन्छ 605-472-9355 डायल इन गरेर। अनि त्यसपछि रेडियो मिर्चीको एप पनि डाउनलोड गरेर सुन्न सक्नुहुन्छ होइन। So feel free to call us, dial in, listen to us. It's a fun infotainment program. Nepali community ko lai ho. We try to bring really good speakers. We have two sections. One is what's your story? And then the second one is legal advice or financial advice. Oh, and before I forget, if you have any question about the loan, please feel free to call our own Jaji. He is our in-home loan officer. You can call him, text him at